The Mike Ferrin Open, it's Mike Stibbs.
Just make sure it sounds sexy, Stibbs.
Lord Almighty, how can you stand Arizona? Your fair skin must be burning down into your absent soul. Mike, 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 we can barely hear you. It sounds to me like you called us from inside a hole. But your phone calls lift me higher, like the ERA of Mark Pryor. Your hair looks like it's on fire. You're Mike Ferrin. You're just a hunk of burning love.
A very
You're just a hunk of
verklempt
burning love.
Mike Ferrin joins us from Arizona.
I'm just concerned that we have to go back to you singing like a chipmunk.
No. No. Well, we're keeping all of his production.
Because we're lazy.
Well, we're lazy.
Because he doesn't own the rights to it. Yeah.
And
our
our
negotiations
all the rights.
It's in all the contracts.
Also, it's incredible, so why would they?
It's also very good.
Yeah. And it's one way to remember him. You know, when he's gone.
Indeed.
To honor my spirit.
What's going to happen when we're on, I don't know, who replaces Stibbs? Glenn? What happens when we're on Glenn TV next week and the Stibbs theme starts and I turn to Glenn and I'm like, hey, Glenn, why can't you be more like Stibbs?
They're going to say that to Glenn a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Probably Glenn.
Yeah.
Glenn, sucks.
Glenn, why do you have to wear such tight clothing?
Let me also say I saw the screen that they put up at the farewell to Stibbs, and the pictures of him young and full of hope are really. You can tell that that's a guy that's like, I'm going to go work in radio, and it's going to be great. And then what happens, Stibbs?
He worked in radio.
He did work in radio.
Well, I was even happier then because radio wasn't even a thing I really wanted to do. It just kind of happened. So.
What did you want to do? Wait, this is better be like.
I mean, nothing. Retire.
Did you see?
Well, you picked the wrong industry.
Yeah, I know.
Did you see the picture I posted earlier today?
No, but I'm assuming that's on the semi-popular website, twitter.com.
Yes. Let's see. We did this a couple weeks ago when I was able to share my screen here. We're going to make Stibbs actually work. Let's see.
Is this on the Thank You Stibbs?
Correct.
No.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
On his post.
Oh, on John's post. Yeah.
Entire screen. No, I don't need to share audio. Why are you asking me these dumb questions? Oh,
Stibbs, that's your freshman year in high school when you played football, right?
That was my.
I recognize football hair and chin.
Yep. Yes, the chin more so.
All right, let's. Can you put that up there? Steve?
Oh,
wow. Goodness.
Wow. Look at him.
I had great hair.
Speaking of young and full of life.
There he is.
You still have great hair. You really should. You have TV quality hair.
He does. Best hair in the building by far.
Yeah. I need to grow it out again.
You need to grow it just like this.
Good now. Yeah. I think it's good where it's at.
I had to.
Also, show the picture, John, of him and Shane as well. Because that one is a classic.
Yeah. Now, okay. Here's the backstory.
Oh, Shane.
This is the backstory. This is one of the earliest. This may be the first picture I ever took of Stibbs. So
yeah. Still young.
This is
fairly skinny.
This looks like a must have been a Friday because it had something to do with the logs and all this.
Yes. Good
crap.
call. Yep.
And Shane came in to tell Stibbs what he had done. And I snapped this one off the video.
Because he was a little annoyed at him, which was a rarity, of
Shane,
course.
Yeah, I've never noticed Shane.
Mm-hmm.
He came in to tell me he did like one thing that takes 3 seconds and was like, hey, I did this for you. I did you a really great, a really good solid for you. I got this taken care of. And I was like, cool, thanks, Shane. I got it. Appreciate it. Get out of here.
We've seen that
in the middle of the show.
We've seen that look many times. There you go.
Gosh,
a little bit of
well, congratulations on being crushed and broken. We'll miss you around these parts.
Thank you, Mike. I'll miss you immensely.
He will still be at the College World Series, so we plan to completely break his spirit then.
Yeah.
At that.
Well,
point.
if you haven't done it by now, I mean, working with Josh for how long? That doesn't do it.
Long time, man.
So wait, is Stacy going to come back to produce then?
Oh, she wasn't one of the semifinalists.
She doesn't actually do. She's the boss.
That's true. Can you? Oh, I don't know. I don't know how. Yeah, it's been a long time since she's been behind the board
on the ones and twos.
Yeah. I could get a little.
She's been too busy yelling at people for the last 15 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's bad enough we've had to deal with Stibbs' lower middle management. Imagine once we get to middle management.
Yeah, right? People who actually have power in the building.
Yeah.
No. It's people. The middle management's more dangerous. It's people that think they have power in the building.
Yeah.
Well,
do we have to talk baseball now?
No, we're talking Stibbs. This is the Stibbs roast, right?
Well, okay. How about
the Mariners are on a 5-game win
I was
streak?
going to say, look at who just decided to pop back up in the American League West. They've won 5 in a row. They're only 2.5 games out now. Don't mind that their run margin is -42. That's not important.
Who cares?
But the Mariners are back in the race.
They're a game over 500. They are doing this just for Stibbs, and as soon as he's gone, they will
back to crap.
They did this so that we could ask Ferrin one more Mariners question in our last interview, and then they'll lose 12 in a row.
Very kind.
Be contracted from the game.
Listen, their bullpen's been okay. Their starting pitching's been decent. Their offense has not, and so I think it's actually really kind of interesting that they have the record that they do. I mean, they've banked these 28 wins, so if you can find a way to improve your offense, why not go for it? I mean, they felt like they were going to be more competitive this year from a record standpoint. They certainly are. I think the Kyle Lewis injury is a little bit concerning. He had to leave with a knee issue last night, but just because he's had such a long history of knee problems. But at some point, Kelenic will get going, and they could use some offense. I don't think they're going to be a team that's going out and addressing needs at the deadline. But hey, at least the first 2 months haven't been a total disaster. My nephew's happy, so that's good. Well, relatively so.
Mariners baseball. At least the first 2 months haven't been a disaster.
Or at least my nephew is happy. That's a solid slogan.
Yeah. They have a strong history of going like 84 and 78 with a negative run differential and narrowly missing the postseason just to destroy everybody's hopes and dreams. So who knows? Maybe you have that to look forward to.
Why not do it again? Yeah.
Mike, did you have a chance to see DeGrom in person yesterday?
Oh, yeah, I did.
What was that like?
Well, I've been fortunate to see him in person a few times. This was the best DeGrom that I've seen. And I'll give you a couple things that were really interesting about it. I mean, he was basically 2 pitches for almost the entirety of the game. Until like he threw his first curveball of the season on his third to last pitch, and it was nasty. And then he followed it with a changeup, which is the only pitch that he threw either away to a lefty or into a righty the entire night. So he basically used one half of the plate and was fastball slider, and he just absolutely carved. I mean, just dominated, bullying hitters, spotting up. I mean, just there's nothing anybody could do. It was spectacular. It was watching, a peak entertainer at the top of their game. I mean, my buddy Kevin Franzen compared him to Pedro, like 1999, 2000 Pedro yesterday. And I think Kevin's right on. Like it's just different when he pitches. It's really remarkable.
Is he the only thing? And when I say he, mainly it's his physical, holding out. Is he the only thing that can really stop him at this point? This season.
Yeah, I mean, I think something shutting down on him physically. Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, at some point he's going to have a clunker of a start. He might walk 2 guys, or something like that. I think he's now at something like almost like 80 strikeouts and 7 walks or something crazy like that. That might be the best way to describe it. I mean, he doesn't even need to get in his own way. And the thing is that he combines all of these elements of like the modern power pitcher, right? Like he's throwing 101 miles an hour in the first inning. And his last pitch of the game was 100. And he's holding it, but he's also putting the ball where he wants to, like he's a guy who's throwing 88. And I think that's what's so unique about him. And then you start to look at the data on his pitches, and like he has an above average spin rate on his 4-seam fastball, which means that it holds its line better. It looks like it's rising, right? But he also has elite extension, which means that from the time that he releases the pitch, he's closer to home plate than all but a handful of pitchers, right? So like all of these things combined just make him an absolute marvel. It's unbelievable what he does.
His ERA is 0.71. It's the lowest for any qualified starter since 1964.
Chris Short with the Phillies.
Do you have the Bob Gibson number at this point?
And then the Bob Gibson number.
It's higher.
So Bob Gibson, who finished with the 1.12 ERA in 1968, which is the record, the modern record.
It was like 1.7?
He was at 1.53 at the end of May of that year. So he actually got better as the season went on. But then the other thing, too, he had 27 pitches that hit 100 on the radar gun, and it's the third most in any single game in the last 13 years.
Yeah.
So he did all that. It's throwing as hard as he did, and was consistent throughout the game, as you pointed out.
He threw 3 fastballs that were under 99 miles an hour. He fell behind a hitter 3-0 and then just carved him up. It's just he's incredible. He's absolutely incredible. He's must watch every time he starts, because you're just seeing what the absolute combination of power and precision. It's like watching an IndyCar race or watching peak Federer. I mean, I think you have to go to other sports to really find the combination of power and finesse that he has.
Could we make an arrangement where in the All-Star game he faces Ohtani? Just one.
That'd be pretty cool.
Just one at bat. Seriously, work it. DeGrom starts the game, right? You put Ohtani at the top of the order for the American League.
That'd be awesome.
And you start the game with that matchup.
Well, so DeGrom is also 9 for 20 as a hitter, which means could you flip it around and have Ohtani face DeGrom too?
Sure. You know what? That'd be
That'd be more entertaining than the All-Star game.
Forget 3 outs. The first inning is simple. It's DeGrom versus Ohtani, and then after that, it's Ohtani versus DeGrom, and then the first inning's over, and we go to the second inning.
I'm trying to think of other All-Star games over the past decade or so that would have an interest level like that would. And I can't think of any, at least in the last decade. I remember, like you mentioned, the Pedro season at the end of last century, and he had that, 99 when they were in Boston, and he struck out 5 of the first 6 or something ridiculous like that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, because now that we have, interleague play,
it's not as rare,
it's taken
obviously
some of the novelty, but because the Mets and the Angels aren't meeting this year, I think it should be worked out that they face each other in this All-Star game, because you talk about must see, that would be must see.
Yeah, there was. I want to say the closest you might get is, what was the year? Who was it? We had a couple of Sale Scherzer years that were good ones, right? In terms of starters for the All-Star game,
right?
We didn't have. Is that right? Kershaw's never started the All-Star game, which is incredible to me. I still don't understand how that hasn't happened. That one would probably be the closest. Or Harvey Scherzer was another good one when Max was still in Detroit and Harvey was at his peak, because he kind of transcended his production to that point, but his historical production. But yeah, I think you're right. I mean, in terms of just the idea of DeGrom facing Ohtani would be incredible. I think just DeGrom starting the All-Star game is going to be, by itself, going to be unreal. Nobody remembers that Curt Schilling started that All-Star game for the National League in 1999. Kurt who? It's just
they're doing that now, but that's another story.
It's fair.
They typically say, don't look at the standings until after Memorial Day, and here we are. We're a day after Memorial Day, and the Cubs Cubs, thanks to their extraordinary month, are in first place. All by themselves.
It's a shame you can't care this year.
I know. Yeah, you're out on the Cubs.
I didn't say I don't care. I'm just not as emotionally invested. That's all. But there is going to be a point where I do get very emotionally invested. And
June 3rd.
It'll be the point.
No, it's May 10th. Yeah. That's where he started getting emotionally invested. By June 3rd, he's going to be over because the swoon will begin.
It'll be the point where Chris Bryant actually does get traded. But in all seriousness, is there a point on this timeline where the Cubs have to, at least internally, make the call? We're going in with Bryant, or we're going to ship Bryant? I think
they should have made the call by now, personally. I mean, it's not like it's a division that they're going to end up finishing 5th in, and the top 3 teams in that division are going to be pretty close. They're all have flaws, but Milwaukee has really, really good starting pitching. And I thought the Adames trade, I don't know that we really have talked about that. Like Willie Adames, we're going to look up at the end of the season and people are going to go, how did the Brewers get Willie Adames again? Like, why did that happen? How did they end up with this guy? He's a stud. So, Milwaukee is pretty good. The Cardinals have been battling some injuries, and there's some inconsistencies in their bullpen. They've got some great arms down there, but those guys don't throw a lot of strikes. And now Flaherty had to leave last night with an injury. So, to me, they're going to be in the mix. And I think it is really foolish to pull the plug. Furthermore, you're not going to replace Chris Bryant. You're just not. No matter what you do via trade or drafts or whatever, you're not going to replace that guy. He should be number one on the list that you extend. Number one on the list that you extend. And that to me that's the part of the equation that's really frustrating is, you watch this ownership group come in and tell you that things were going to be different this time, and they haven't made things different this time. That guy should be in that uniform for life, maybe even more so than Rizzo. I think I understand that Rizzo's got the emotional attachment and all that, but like Chris Bryant is a different level of player and is going to continue to be an elite level player. Like that to me it's ridiculous that they're even considering that at this point. He should be locked up. I mean, that's it.
How much of it all stems back? He's a Boris client. We all remember what happened in 2015, getting the extra year of service and kind of the controversy that happened. That at the end of the day, when you're a businessman, is not going to affect. I mean, if the Cubs make the best offer, he's going to re-sign, right?
I mean, the big thing, everybody criticizes Scott Boras for, he doesn't do extensions. He doesn't do this. He does extensions. He's not going to do a team-friendly deal unless the player begs him to do a team-friendly deal. What he's going to do is he's going to sign a market value extension. Well, here's the thing about market value extensions. For elite level players, they tend to be good value compared to what they could be a couple years down the road or a couple months down the road even. So, like if you're going to pay Chris Bryant at the top of the market, which Chris Bryant certainly looks like he deserves to get, then you can extend Chris Bryant. All you're doing is, holding on to your money in an effort to not do it. And the downside is pretty significant because the downside is you don't have Chris Bryant. So I think that's the part that gets lost in this is that, Boras will do an extension. You just absolutely have to pay him what he's worth on the market. And if you get to that number, Chris Bryant will be a Cub for life. And if you don't, Chris Bryant's going to go someplace else and he's going to torment you for the next half decade.
Oh, great. It's not like that's never happened before.
Mike, speaking of getting to the right number, how much are you willing to pay for a very cool Major League Baseball NFT?
Me personally, probably not so much, but it is interesting that the sports leagues have gotten into this, right? Like this is, I mean, listen, if there's $1 to be made, I guess you can get in there, right? It's like the new era caps from a couple of weeks ago. I'm not hip enough to fully understand what a sports league is going to do with an NFT. Are they going to start selling rights to plays? Are they going to start selling, rights to one specific likeness? I'm not sure exactly how the NBA does it because I haven't looked into it, but I have a feeling it's going to be of interest to some people with disposable income for sure. And somebody's going to make a lot of money on it.
Well, I've already started my own NFT business.
Oh,
because I specifically went in when I learned of this and went in and grabbed the video. So I have the video. Rob Refsnyder going face first into the wall yesterday in Baltimore.
Oh man,
this is, and of course we can run it because he wasn't hurt.
Okay.
He's okay, but that's one of the best things I've seen in baseball in a long time.
I mean, he hit it at a pretty good clip too. We had Rocco Baldelli on this morning and we were talking about it. He's like, the first thing is we wanted to make sure he was okay. And then he's like, I know if that were in Minnesota, what would happen? I mean, there would be like a chalk outline of him on the fence, right? I don't know what they're going to do in Baltimore for him, but like that guy's going back, he's tracking the ball and all of a sudden wall. And we're not that far removed from the 30th anniversary of Rodney McRae literally running through the fence in Vancouver. That was that anniversary was actually the same day as the Crazy Baez play. That was the anniversary.
Really?
Yeah. 30 years ago on the 27th.
You've seen that one, haven't you, Josh?
Oh yeah.
The minor league outfielder just going.
Was that the Baez play? Is that the funniest baseball play you've ever seen?
I don't know how it couldn't be. I mean, it's just ridiculous. The punchline's the best because it's just step out first base. Yeah. Like that's the part of it that's so ridiculous. I mean, this poor kid has a brain fart and we'll always remember Will Craig for it. But like, it was hilarious. I mean, it was so funny and added to by Jim Deshaies on TV going, "Keep going, you're invisible."
Yeah, you're invisible.
We spent 2 segments on that. And that was the first thing we mentioned was you're invisible. Keep running.
I mean, it was great. It was really, really funny. It was a heads-up baseball play by Baez on top of it, but man, was it a riot. I mean, you're hard-pressed to, like, we were trying to find funnier ones or more bizarre ones. Lenny Randall blowing the ball foul always comes to mind for me in the Metrodome when he got down on his hands and knees and blew on a bunt into foul territory. That's a great moment, right? Like there are a few that are like that, and some base running gaffes and stuff like that, but nothing quite like that. That was just tremendous.
The only thing that could have made that play funnier is if the Pirates actually would have gotten the out at first base after Baez did the safe thing and then realized, oh crap, I still have to go touch first base.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that almost might have made it funnier.
I think it probably would have been a perfect punchline for it. Instead of there were 2 outs. You're right. It probably would have made it funnier. I think it would have been
right.
Yeah. All of that, and it would have been, you know what, that would have been a metaphor for 2021. We're going to do all these things. Nothing matters.
Last year would have been the time for that. Not this year. Yeah. All right. Well,
you want to say anything to Stibbs?
I miss you, bud. I mean, we were texting a little bit last week. I'm going to miss you.
Yes, we know. We saw
producer.
You were very offended and hurt.
Yeah, they didn't enjoy your text about them.
Well,
I did.
Listen, I know who to kiss up to, so you guys are stuck with me. It's free programming.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll miss you, Stibbs, but you know when you want to improve your station in life, who to call, and it's not those two.
I'll miss you too, Mike. You're one of my favorites. I'm glad that we
of all the favorites you've had, I'm one of them.
You're one of the 46 favorites that I have. Yeah,
that's great.
Well, the reason why he likes this so much is this is the one thing where he doesn't have to worry about calling at the absolute last second, as he has done historically with a lot of our guests. Now that we do this, it's all up to you to connect. It's not up to him.
Well, Ferrin had the worst phone line, and now we get the
right.
now his interviews have the best quality every week.
Yeah,
and you're one of the few that's been able to do this regularly, and it is fun and it's cool. And no matter how many people.
Maybe I should leave the house more.
Yeah, maybe.
One of these days you'll have to do it on the phone and just put the selfie stick while you're walking the dogs.
Oh,
that's a good idea. It's a little warm right now to do that, though. Maybe in the winter.
Maybe in the winter when it's 72 degrees outside.
Yeah.
Can you even walk dogs in Arizona this time of year?
Yeah, in the morning. Yeah. So
like
I get up early. It's more like 5:30 or 6, but yeah, I will then.
Yeah.
It's only 105 today. It's pleasant.
It's dry heat.
It's dry.
How about 105? So car batteries go dead here like within 3 years. So I went to go test drive a new car yesterday, and I was talking about trading in mine, and I was like, yeah, like cars that had no mechanical problems. It's got just some, like a couple minor cosmetic things on the tailgate from where it banged up against a garage door, but no problems at all. And my wife had gone out to check the mileage on the car, and she came back inside, and she goes, the car won't start. Battery died while I was in the parking lot. I was just trying to tell them how great my trade-in was.
Does that kind of negate? Now I realize they're different batteries, but does that negate the need for, or not need, but the feasibility of electric cars?
No, I don't think so. That's a good question. I don't think so.
It's different technology, but
everybody, there's a lot of Teslas around here, so I'm assuming that that's not the case. So
cool. Well, we'll enjoy Glenn next week when he logs in.
If he can figure out how to get this up and running.
Is it Glenn TV? Is that what we're going to start calling it? Or is it?
I think for the foreseeable future, until we have a full timer, I think we do need to just call it Glenn TV.
I agree.
It's pretty
just
fun.
call every fill-in Glenn.
Yeah, we get some good news and some bad news. The new producer is really good. His name is Glenn. The bad news is he doesn't understand technology. Everything's going to be done like court reporting artists.
So we're hiring Neil.
He's going to freehand everything.
It'll be like the episode in The Sopranos where Junior spends the entire trial staring at the guy who's drawn the and because he was upset at how he was drawn. One of my favorite bits. He's on trial for his life, and he's got his head turned. He's looking back, and he's got this scowl on his face.
Oh man!
All right. Well, I'm sure next week we'll talk about Nebraska getting knocked out because they got screwed in the seeding. So sorry.
You know your stuff.
Yeah, you do.
Thank you, Mike.
Bye, Mike.
I'll miss you. Goodbye.
There he is. Mike.
Good job, Stibbs.
Don't care enough.
Get out. Let's get out.
Yeah. Are we leaving this up now the rest of the day so people can see you cry?
No.
All right. Probably a good idea.
I mean, he is the president of Stibbs TV.
He is Glenn TV, the soon to be named Glenn TV.
I like that idea.
I do too.
It's got a ring to it.
It sounds so dumb.
Glenn TV. TV for guys named Glenn. Coming up next, Glenn Campbell.
Followed by Glenn Beck.
He already has his own TV.
Yeah.
Now, see, there's a missed opportunity. He calls his stuff Blaze. Why didn't he call it Glenn TV?
Yeah, I should have the Blaze one.
Yeah.
Yes.
It should have been Blaze TV.
Yes.
Come watch Mike Ferrin on Blaze
It's my
TV.
confirmation name. That's why.
Also, what you did earlier, remember the
No, it's my confirmation.
Oh, okay.
Well, maybe that's the next thing you can work on. You'll have extra time now.
You
I mean,
will.
you spent this program being able to get your own Twitter handle.
That's true.
Now you can now your next goal is to get copyright to the Blaze TV.
Mm-hmm.
To fight Glenn Beck in court.
Oh, I'm sure you can dig up something on him. Little blackmail goes a long way.
Uh-huh.
All right. Come back with more in a minute. Michael Brunts will join us as well. 1620 The Zone.